Dream, believe, achieve. That's the power of can. Welcome to my show Because I Can with Ridhan, powered by Ridzworld Publishing. Welcome everyone. Today we are privileged to have a distinguished guest. She's not just an educationist and an activist, but she's also a seasoned landscape architect with a rich history of landscape designing for major corporations and renowned locations. Being a true author at heart, she has penned down multiple books, and her inspirational articles have graced the numerous pages of newspapers. Today, I would like to welcome our multi-talented and our most inspirational Vijaya Chakravarti ma'am. Hello Vijaya auntie, how are you?
Thank you, beta. I'm wonderful, and what a lovely introduction. I'm absolutely flabbergasted.
Thank you. It is truly an honor to have you here with us.
I'm honored too, beta.
So let's start with our questions. 3, 2, 1, let's go.
Right?
So auntie, coming to our first question. Auntie, how did your journey started from aspiration to being an inspiration?
The long journey. I'm a grandmother, so it's been a real long journey. I think I was very lucky
Yes.
and very fortunate to be in wonderful natural terrain. I lived in the Western Ghats,
Oh.
right? And which was a biodiversity hotspot. When I say biodiversity, I mean different kinds of animals,
Yes,
insects,
insects,
plants,
yes.
etc. And I was very, very fortunate because my mother
Yes.
was my mentor,
Oh.
and she was a botanist, so she taught me about plants, right? She could identify the wild plants growing, and she would tell us stories,
Oh.
and especially Ramayana. Every day
Yes,
she would
yes.
read stories. And in Ramayana, she talked about Panchavati. You know what Panchavati is?
No.
Panchavati is a place which has 5 trees.
Okay.
5 very, very important trees. Like the people, which is banyan.
Yes. yes.
Amla, which is very medicinal. So Panchavati, where Sita and Ram lived, was
Yes.
full of birds and animals, the deer, and lots of
Yes.
fruits and fragrant flowers. So that is what inspired me to get into landscaping. Otherwise, I started as a teacher in St. Xavier's College.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you mean to say that your mother would tell you stories, and then you would connect with that, and you would write stories about gods, about the stories that she told you.
I never wrote stories. Though
Okay.
she was a writer, she was
Oh,
a playwright, and she
okay.
used to write for magazines and newspapers.
Yes.
But I started writing much, much later. I was in a place called Jeju-do in
Yes.
Korea,
Okay.
South Korea, and I fell in love with the place. It was beautiful. The natural beauty was
Yes.
so nice. I went for a conference there, and when I came back, I had this passion and urge to write. So I called up Times of India and spoke to the editor and said, I would like to write. So he said, what do you do? Why do you want to write about Jeju-do? So I said, I'm a landscape designer. So he says, why don't you write about landscaping? So I wrote about landscaping, I sent, and I saw the next day my article was published. Then I said, let me write something slightly different. So my next one was called Hobby, Stress and the City Child. And that was published. So I didn't wait. I wrote about Jeju-do. And when I wrote about Jeju-do, it was published in Saturday Times, which was a very prestigious paper those days.
Okay.
That's how my journey into writing started.
Well, that's quite a journey, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
So, Auntie, could you talk about your early life?
Yeah. See, I was born in the Eastern Ghats,
Okay.
on the east coast of India, near the Bay
Yes.
of Bengal. But as a toddler, I moved deep into the Western Ghats, right? Where we would see leopards, they would come to our homes.
Oh.
We grew up with snakes. So that fear of, snakes and poison, that was not there in us. And we had
Yes,
huge trees. It was a jungle. So I grew up in a forest.
Oh.
And then I moved to Bombay.
Yes.
Or Mumbai as we call it now. So the sea coast. So I was very fortunate to experience various biogeographical areas. like the
Yes.
sea coast, then the Western Ghats, the Eastern Ghats, and now I live on the Deccan Plateau in
Yes.
Pune. So that has helped me, living in various biogeographical regions of India has helped me to get a deep love for people, because you come across different people,
Yes.
different languages, different cultures, and the nature, which is so different. So
Of
this is what
course.
has inspired me in life. Yes.
Wow. Nature is very inspiring. That is very true.
Absolutely, Beta.
So, Auntie, what was your passion when you were around my age?
When I was your age, well, I used to take crabs for a walk. It's very cruel now to say that, but it gave me a lot of learning. The crabs walk sideways.
Yes.
So we used to tie strings to it, and then we would chase butterflies. We never could catch them, but we would chase butterflies. And there was a bird called Kudkud Kumbha in Marathi.
Okay.
And I didn't know what that was, because before the rains, locals would say, Kudkud Kumbhacha awaz ala. You could hear the sound of the Kudkud Kumbha. Now the rains will come. So these were indicators
Yes.
of different seasons. Much later, I learned what Kudkud Kumbha is. It's the great kokal. In fact, I'm writing a book on this bird, called Kudkud Kumbha. So this is what, my childhood was spent, catching fish in the gutters. When I moved to Mumbai at the age of 8, we had beautiful stormwater drains,
Yes.
which had water in the rainy season. And we would catch fish.
Yes.
And we didn't know how to look after the fish. So we would put them in glass bowls
Yes.
and feed them with rice. Unfortunately, the fish would die. But we learned that fish don't eat rice. Rice is for human beings. So it was all through practice. When I was your age, I was catching fish. I was sitting on trees
Yes.
and, eating guavas and fruits right off the trees. This is what I used to do. Or sit under the tree and read. I would love reading.
Yes.
So basically, I was an outdoor person. Yeah.
Well, I also like outdoors. Yay! Auntie, I'm really looking forward for that book, and you had so much fun in your childhood.
Absolutely.
I can just imagine.
It's a wonderful childhood. Wonderful.
Thank you. So, who were your inspirations?
My mother.
Yes.
My mother was a great inspiration because, she taught me
Yes. Yes.
the different plants, names of the animals. But she would teach me the botanical names.
Yes. Yes.
The local name she could only tell in Telugu, but I learned Marathi. It's very important that you know the language, where you
Yes.
stay, because that can teach you a lot of things. So I've been very blessed because I've learned from people, grassroots workers, right?
Yes.
People who are the gardeners, the cooks, the maids. So I learned all these about nature, about the local traditions,
Yes.
stories. And this is what has inspired me, especially these traditional conservation practices. It's like Ganesh Chaturthi.
Yes,
Ganesh
yes.
Chaturthi, we have 21 leaves which are offered to God.
Yes.
So we were told, you collect the leaves and we used to give it. But today I've learned, when I read, people used to tell me that this is good, for this, like borka leaves.
Yes.
They're very good for shampoo, for your hair. When you
Yes,
wash
yes.
your hair, it's very good. The fruit is excellent. It gives you a lot of vitamin C. So all these, I learned from people.
Yes.
Yeah, from people at the grassroots. Really, that's very important because they have a lot of ancient wisdom,
Very true.
carried on from generations. Yeah.
And here you're sharing this
Absolutely.
knowledge
Yes.
with me.
Yes. I want
And to our audience as well.
Yes. Yes.
So, Auntie, my parents, they helped me with your LinkedIn account, and I was astonished to see your work profile. Honestly, few of them I did not understand. So I researched on Google and I understood how important they were. So I did have a few questions about them. So my first one is therapeutic spaces. So you design therapeutic spaces for hospitals and special schools.
Yes.
So then, what are they? How do they look? What does it help with? Does it look like a meditation room?
Part meditation, therapy is part meditation,
Yes.
and it's see, when you go to a hospital, both the patients, the caregivers, and the staff, they need to get out of anxiety. Hospitals are filled with anxiety.
Yes.
Surgeries are going on, emergencies are going on, so you need spaces where you can calm down and relax.
Very
So I
true.
have done in Parsi General Hospital,
Yes.
I have done a space, for assisted living for elderly people.
Yes.
See, where I designed a path in the form of 8. It's a
Okay.
meditation path.
Yeah.
You can walk and you will never get lost. As we grow older, our memory decreases, dementia and Alzheimer's take over.
Yes.
So it gives you a very calming effect. You can never get lost in a figure of 8, because wherever you start, you will get back to the same point.
True.
And there is a big hospital called Seven Hills Hospital.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you've heard of that. So there I have done these courtyards, atriums,
Okay.
with therapeutic landscaping. But the best experience I've had as a personal experience is when I was in South Africa, in Johannesburg. I went to this apartheid museum. You know what
Yes.
apartheid is? Is where people discriminate. The white people would discriminate against the blacks and the browns, Indians.
Yes.
So in that, they were people would look down upon you, and you would not get the benefits. Like Mahatma Gandhi could not enter the railway compartment in
Yes.
South Africa first
Yes.
class because he was a brown, he was an Indian, right?
Yes.
I went to this apartheid museum. It was cruel. When you looked at them, it was mind-boggling. I was absolutely terrified and distraught. But
Yes.
when I came out, there was this garden,
Yes.
and there was this bench. I sat down and I calmed myself. It helped me calm. My anxiety was gone, because looking at what was done to the Indians and the blacks was horrifying.
Oh.
So these therapeutic gardens help you to calm yourself, get rid of your anxiety. So this was my first-hand experience. Though I've designed many therapeutic gardens, that was my first experience of a therapeutic garden.
It is very helpful, looks like.
Absolutely, beta, because greenery is very calming.
Oh, very, very, very true. Very true. So, Auntie, could you tell us a few places other than Seven Hills Hospital? Could you tell us a few places where you've designed few therapeutic spaces? And is it a basic requirement in schools?
In schools, one should go in for learning gardens,
Okay.
because learning gardens are where you have multidisciplinary education. Multidisciplinary means different subjects.
Yes.
You can learn mathematics, you can learn languages, you can learn biology,
Yes.
you can learn physics, chemistry. So we did a very, very interesting course, a workshop in our
Yes.
learning garden at IFSA, the Indian Women Scientists Association, called GOCOS. That is, the science of growing, cooking and eating.
Okay.
So that's so the children learn to grow. We had an idli sambar garden, where they learn to grow urad dal, pulses. They learn to grow rice, and chilies, tomatoes to make chutney, sambar. They learned their vocabulary. These children actually came from underprivileged background.
Okay.
But I was amazed at the vocabulary, language which they learned. They learned physics. They learned about microwaving, they learned about steaming, they learned about frying, so many things they learned, different techniques of cooking.
Yes.
So how to grow, pest control, there were so many things which the children learned in this workshop of ours.
So you started the workshop?
We did it, it was called GOCOS. So this is the science of growing, cooking and eating. So we had the students come and work, they grew, they cooked and they ate.
So who's the we? You and?
And my colleagues at the Indian Women Scientists Association.
Oh, yeah. Like you said, learning gardens are where we learn physics, we learn different things. So in normal gardens also we can learn that.
Absolutely.
So what makes them different?
Yeah. So what makes them different is these are pocket landscapes.
Okay.
So a child wants to look at the Amazon rainforest. Now, for a child to travel to Amazon is very difficult.
Yes.
But here we have created a small area, a miniature Amazon rainforest. What's a rainforest? It's multi-storied, like you're building here,
Yes.
apartment blocks. You have very tall trees, then you have medium-sized trees, you have shrubs, you have ground covers, you have creepers, climbers, you
Yes.
have orchids, epiphytes. So every place is a niche for different, like birds. You have the hornbills.
Yes.
They live right on the top. They need very tall trees. But on the floor, you will find the animals, the deer, the rabbit,
Yes.
and the snakes going up, spiders. So there's a niche for everything.
Yes.
And you can see it right there, in the learning garden. You don't have to go to Amazon. The Western Ghats.
So it makes it easy to find everything that you
Yes.
won't be. So if you have to travel from Mumbai to South Africa, for instance, to find one amazing famous garden.
Ha.
So instead of that, there is one miniature garden there where it looks like that garden, where it
Correct.
has the same features, and where you can visit and actually feel that feeling.
Yes, absolutely right. You're bang on it.
So, Auntie, in your LinkedIn account, there was also mentioned biodiversity gardens.
Uh-huh.
Now I'm very confused. Now there's usual gardens, there's learning gardens, now there's biodiversity gardens. So now how are they different from both of them?
See, we come from a tropical climate, right?
Yes,
India comes in
yes.
the tropical. So we have a variety of plants, animals, birds, insects, butterflies. Whereas we had European influence.
Okay.
When the Britishers came, they destroyed their biodiversity.
Yes.
So they used a lot of lawns, and they repeated the same plants over and over again. So they were very uniform, right?
Yes.
So we started doing that. We started forgetting our biodiversity and using restricted number of plants. Okay. When you have restricted number of plants, they attract restricted pollinators.
Yes.
Because you need diversity.
Yes.
So that is biodiversity, is introducing a lot many plants like biofuels. Fossil fuels are getting
Yes.
extinguished now. So that is why we need to have plants which will serve like fossil fuels. Like
Yes.
petrol, you can run your cars on it. So you can see these biofuels. There's so many plants like karanj.
Yes.
Karanj is a tree which the oil is used to light diyas traditionally. Now people are finding out, and trying to use that. So these are things, you will find, and you will have a variety. If you look out in India, you will see so many trees. You will see the neem, you will see the bhendi, you will see the banyan, you will see the peepal. There's so many varieties. So
Yes.
that is biodiversity, having varieties in plants, animals, insects, birds, etc.
So bio means like all the nature,
Yes.
environment, and diversity means variety.
Variety, absolutely.
There were so you mean to say that there were many different kind of animals and many different trees, plants, flowers, but because of the Britishers, they completely got extinct. That's so then.
No, not because of the Britishers. This is a trend of modernization,
Yes.
and also extinction is taking place.
Yes.
What is happening is plants are disappearing because
Yes.
of modernization, industrialization. When
Very
you're
true.
building factories and all, you remove all the trees to make space.
Yes.
Population explosion. So you need more agricultural land. So you're
Yes.
having monoculture, just growing rice or wheat. Instead of
Yes.
having a diverse such thing. Previously in a rice field in India, you would get 80 to 100 types of edible plants, weeds. But
Yes.
today we're using so much pesticides. So we're not allowing these weeds, which were giving nutrition to our children previously. The mothers used to gather
Yes.
them and cook them. But today you don't find. Why? Because we're using so much of pesticides.
Pesticides.
It's not the British. It is modernization which has
Yes.
taken place. I was just giving you an example, of an other country who came, other culture who came in.
Yes.
And
Oh, now I understood. Thank you.
welcome, Rita.
Insects, they are a part of nature, right? So then, insects like bees,
Mhm.
wasps,
Mhm.
they can sting you.
Absolutely.
I've also been stung once. So I was just having a cricket training, and then suddenly there was something here. So then I was trying to move it away,
Mhm.
and then suddenly it like stung me. It felt so bad. It felt like the insect, the wasp, sorry, the bee. It was like putting acid into my blood. It literally was
Toxic.
burning so much.
Mhm.
So then and then our sir, he was continuously fiddling with it, and then there was some very small purplish. It was like a stinger look. So then, if we remove the stinger, what happens?
You know, the toxins of bees and wasps are not much,
Yes,
very slight. For some time, you will feel the pain, irritation,
yes.
but nothing radically happens unless
Yes.
you're attacked by a swarm
Oh,
of bees.
that
A
is-
single bee is not much. Of course, it's very, very painful. I can understand the pain you went through, but so what you should do is, when you're growing a pollinator garden, we're trying to attract these pollinators. See, wasps are also pollinators. In
Yes,
fact, the
true.
keystone species of India, figs, that is the banyan, people,
yes.
they bring the whole biodiversity back. You plant one banyan, you will plant a forest, because soon, bird droppings will be there, seeds will germinate,
Yes.
new plants will come. But these are pollinated by wasps. They call the fig wasps. So they're very, very important for nature. So when you are putting these plants, they say you should not put them close to your house. When you're planting a banyan or people, plant them a little far,
Yes.
at the edge of your property. So then bees will come, wasps will come, because very, very important. What is happening is our food will decrease without pollinators. So they are
course.
very important. Bees and wasps are important. And stay away,
Yes,
especially
yes.
mobile phones.
Yes.
The sounds they emit, the vibrations they emit, attracts the bees and the wasps. So you should be careful when you go to such areas. So we have to take care.
Very true, Auntie. So, Auntie, bees and wasps, they sting you, right? So, and mosquitoes, they bite you and give you diseases like malaria,
absolutely.
dengue. I also got dengue
Yeah,
once. So then, Auntie, why is their presence so important?
Mosquitoes. That's a tough question, huh? Yeah, mosquitoes, actually they say mosquitoes are also great pollinators, because when they go to
Yes.
flowers for nectar, they pollinate. But they're very, very harmful. I got
Yes.
malaria once, it was very
Oh.
bad, yeah. So you should, take some precautions.
Very true.
Avoid stagnant, water. They normally come and breed in water, which you leave,
Yes.
stagnant. So you should avoid keeping water around, exposed water. If you have water, cover it.
Yes.
A lot of construction sites, what happens, there's a huge tanks. They don't cover the tanks.
Yes.
And that is how mosquitoes breed. So you must prevent mosquitoes breeding nearby,
Yes.
close to your homes or where in your neighborhood.
Yes.
But indiscriminate use of pesticides, killing all the mosquitoes is not going to
It's not.
help, because then they have immunity and then they develop resistance to the pesticide.
Yes.
So all these things come into play.
So so when the age becomes more modernized, so then even more mosquitoes will come. Even they will also develop and evolve.
Yeah, they will evolve. So we have to be careful,
Yes,
not to
yes.
have mosquitoes, breeding of mosquitoes close to your homes. You
Yes.
should not keep water, exposed water,
Very true.
because then they start breeding in water.
Okay, so my father, or sometimes I believe that mosquitoes, they also help us with our immunity system. So when they put the germs,
Uh-huh.
so I also really don't like it. It increases my scratching and it really spoils our skin. So then, but it also strengthens your immunity system to fight it and be strong.
Really? Oh, I didn't know about this. This is interesting.
So that's my father's belief. So
Okay.
sometimes I also think like that. But as soon as a mosquito bites me, then I think, no, I think mosquitoes are quite biters.
Yeah. got to be careful because you don't know which mosquito is carrying what.
Yes. Because sometimes mosquitoes, they can also be having diseases, viruses. So we also got to watch out for that. So, Auntie, how do you suggest we should use the environment efficiently?
How do you use the environment efficiently? I would say look at your home environment first. Avoid drinking water from small Bisleri bottles.
Yes.
If you need to buy water, buy big ones and put it in the cup like your mother has done and drink it.
Yes.
Avoid packet stuff. We're buying chips
Yes.
in small packets. So we're causing so much. All this plastic goes into the floor of the ocean.
Of course.
Okay? And then the fish die, the plants die. So we should avoid using that. As far as possible, buy stuff loose. People
Yes.
previously used to get it in paper bags.
Yes.
So that is what one should do. Even at home when you carry your water, so that you don't
Yes.
have to buy Bisleri water and drink. So these are little things you can do. Grow some plants. Grow
course.
microgreens. They're very simple to grow,
Okay.
and they're highly nutritious. And they're very quick. So you must learn to grow a little bit of food.
So wait, what did you say that
Microgreens.
microgreens?
I'll tell
Okay,
you what
everybody here, please grow microgreens. Auntie suggested. So Auntie, could you just tell a few steps or an easy ways? Where can we get them? and all
Very
that?
simple. Go to your kitchen.
Yes.
Indian kitchens are full of seeds. We use a lot of seeds
Yes.
methi, fenugreek, and rye, mustard,
Yes.
and green gram. So all these you pre-soak them
Yes.
overnight. Okay, and next day you take these shallow containers and make good drainage holes, very little soil in it, and just spread it thickly, because you're not going to wait for the plant to grow very big. So spread the seeds very thickly, cover
Yes.
it again with a thin layer of soil
Yes.
and water it, and then it will start growing greens. So wait for about a week, 10 days, cut them, add it to your dals, to your salads.
They'll become very healthy.
Very healthy, nutritious. It's excellent and very quick, and you can do it. Send me a photograph.
Sure. I will surely use my mother's help.
Of course, mothers and dads also. Why not your
Oh.
fathers?
No, my mom is more into cooking.
Acha.
My dad is just being motivated by a friend of his
Uh-huh.
to cook. So
Good.
pressurized.
Ah,
So Auntie, along with nature saving, I think we should also use solar panels.
yes.
So because we waste a lot of electricity by using ACs, using lights.
Yeah.
For not for any reason. So we need to. So if we also don't have any solar panels, then we should at least be considerate for the electricity.
Absolutely. You need to switch off.
Yes.
Whatever is not required, you should switch off and
Yes.
use as much as daylight as possible.
Oh,
Keep your
very true.
windows open, good ventilation, good sunlight.
My nanny, she said in the olden times, there were no houses, there were no electricity, right?
Mhm.
So then, as the day, so early in the morning, as the sun would rise, they would get up, and as the sun would set, they would sleep.
Yes.
So sleeping is very healthy for us also.
Absolutely, you must get good. I think a child of your age should get at least 10 hours sleep.
Very true, Auntie. My parents also, they tell me to sleep for more time, because then I won't be grumpy in the morning, and I will be calm and have a good day.
Absolutely.
So Auntie, as well with solar panels, we should save water. Whenever we are brushing, whenever we are taking bath, we should take a limited amount. And while brushing we should make sure that we are closing the tap. That's not on. So because the dirt which is there, it gets wasted. So for example, let's take that the water is coming from the river. We're brushing and we're dirtying the water, and then it goes back to the river.
Absolutely, yeah.
So we should use water carefully.
Right. And also, we're so used to taking a shower bath.
Yes.
The shower is continuously running. So
Yes.
best is to go to the old-fashioned way and use a bucket.
My
So
mom
limited.
and Nani always use a bucket.
Yeah, even I use a bucket. Yes.
Sometimes me and Dad use a shower.
Yeah, we all use
Modern
showers
times.
now. Yes, all modern. Yeah, so you have to be careful in the
Yes.
use of electricity, in use of water. See, previously, nowadays you put everything, in dryers, electric dryers.
Yes.
Previously, when we used to make papads and pickles, everything we used to keep it in the sun.
Yes.
That was the free. Sunlight is free. You don't pay
course.
for it,
Of course we don't.
and it is there all the time. It's not like petrol, which will be over.
And
It's not like gas.
That makes me remember we should not waste paper as well.
Yes.
Talking about that makes me remember one of my story in my first book, Once Upon in My Mind. So I would love writing more stories where we would learn something out of it. So The Boy Who Saved the Environment was the name of my story. So I was very young, 6, 7. So at that time in school I was learning how papers are made out of trees. So then, and I was very fond of making paper rockets. I would always make them. I was always waste paper. So then I wrote down a story where there was a boy like me who always used to waste paper by making paper aeroplanes. There would be doodles, there would be ripped off pages in his books. So like that, and his grandfather came to him, and he was very upset and disappointed of him wasting so much paper. So then he decided to take the son to the factory to show him how paper was actually made and how the trees were cut down for that. So then in that I learned how we should always save the environment by growing more trees. So I remember one promise I made, that whenever I waste one paper, I will always grow 10 more plants.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I kept trying to keep that promise, but it was also very hard. I couldn't get the seeds, but I tried keeping up to that promise.
So now you grow microgreens. So in a little thing you can grow 100 seeds. In a small container, yes. But there are other alternate methods of making paper. Have you heard of elephant dung? Elephant dung is very rich in fiber.
Okay.
Because they eat a lot of grass and stalks and all that. So the dung is full of fiber. So they make
Yes.
paper. Even garlic and onion peels.
Yes.
You can soak it in water, and then mix mash it up as pulp, and then you spread it,
Yes.
and you can make paper. So these are little things, which we must start introducing. Maybe, you're such a good writer. I hope one day you will, have a startup and look at these alternative methods.
Auntie, I will use your ideas. I will introduce this to our world.
Yeah, you have to sell dreams,
Yes.
to people. Otherwise, they're not attracted to all these environmental things. So you have to sell a dream to your customers and to the people, your bankers.
Yes.
Yeah, wish you all the luck. All the best.
Thank you, Auntie. So also talking about that, I just remembered a moment where I used to go for Lego classes on Sunday.
Uh-huh.
So then our teacher, he taught us to build a movie theater type, a movie theater look. So using a phone, we would keep it fun. There would be a paper in the paper, and then the shadows would be there. So then I done a puppet show like that using Lego. So then our teacher also taught us how to make caterpillars, butterflies, like that. So then I used that idea. So it all started with, there was a man who cut a lot of trees for selling the market or using it for home. So then one day he was going to cut a very big story tree. Then one caterpillar said, please do not cut the trees. These are our homes. We are dying. Please do not sell the trees. Please grow more trees. So then the man took the caterpillar idea, and then he started growing more trees and felt more content and happy. And more than money, he was also very, very proud of his work. That I'm doing trees, and he always helped the environment around. So that was the puppet show which I did.
Wonderful. You must do it and show me one day. It's very interesting. I mean, doing with Lego bricks, I'm learning many things from you.
And from you as well, Auntie, I've learned so many inspiring things until now.
Thank you, Vidya.
Thank you. So, Auntie, you mentor students on various topics, right?
Yeah.
So, so there's I saw on your LinkedIn account, nature conservation. What do you call it as?
Yeah, nature conservation. That is preservation
Yes.
of nature.
Yes.
Yeah.
So for our audience, could you tell us what is it, and how does it help? How can we children contribute?
See, there are lots of things, ancient wisdom.
Yes.
Like I was telling you about the 21
yes.
leaves.
Yes.
So there are different things across India, especially, I follow Indian traditions because I'm from India basically, so I know more about it. There are many, many conservation practices in India which promote biodiversity.
Yes.
Recently I wrote a book called Chodosha. Chodosha is, about 14 different wild greens which are used to make a curry during Diwali. Now, that is conservation. Now, those wild vegetables have continued to survive for hundreds of years because people were using them, for cooking. And these are full of medicinal value, packed with nutrients. So, it's very, very important that we conserve and protect them. So, these traditions help us. So, these are traditional conservation practices. So, there are so many. There is something called Rishicha Bhaji in Maharashtra.
Okay.
So, on Rishi Panchami day, they use wild vegetables like tubers, gourds, fruits, greens to cook. So, because we are using them, we continue to preserve them and we learn, children like you will come with a grandmother like me, and I will tell you, beta, this is ratalu, sweet potato, this is good for this. And you learn the names, so that is very important. So this will help conserve and protect. See, unless you value it, unless you value it, you will not appreciate and you will not help to preserve it. So it's very important that you learn about things.
So it's a little like nature maintenance, right, Auntie?
Yeah, absolutely. Maintaining, right? That's a good word.
Well, I think I got a little understanding of it.
Good. I'm glad. Thank you.
So, Auntie, you are such a nature lover.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there anything that bothers you with this modernized world? With buildings coming up, pollution, smoke, extinction of animals, wastage of water, so many things. Is there anything that bothers you?
Yeah, I simply can't stand, when people keep water running.
Yes.
When washing dishes.
Yes.
You can keep it in a tub, rinse, wash it, and then use fresh water to rinse. Yes. There's so many ways, we can conserve water. And another thing is, which I somehow find very distressful, is the disappearance of butterflies.
Oh.
As a child, I would see so many butterflies. But today, we are having huge homes without any plants, without greenery, And we need greenery, we need flowers, we need fruits to attract pollinators.
Yes.
What is happening today is the plants, First, what you understand, cross-pollination and self-pollination?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So what is happening is, now the flowers are getting less showy.
Yes.
They're producing less nectar and they're evolving towards self-pollination.
Yes.
Right? Because why? Because the pollinators, the bees, the butterflies, birds are decreasing in numbers.
Yes, true.
This is very harmful. It's okay, now for an immediate short-term strategy, but in the long term, there is no diversity. And then the whole thing, they will weaken. The plant race, the flora will become very weak and slowly go into extinction. So these are things one has to be very careful. You need to plant some flowers and plants which will attract the pollinators, which will attract the birds have berry growing trees, small fruits, nectar flowers. So all, pollen, all these are very important. We need to introduce it, bring them back into
Very true.
our environment.
Very true. And it's all thanks to Auntie here for literally like supporting us, literally helping us, inspiring us to support our nature around and grow more plants, flowers, trees.
Yes. Variety.
Very true, Auntie. So, Auntie, here we come to my favorite topic, literature.
Wow.
I got a lot of questions up, Auntie.
Uh-huh.
So, are you excited?
Of course.
Let's go.
Chalo.
भागते हैं.
Hello. Let's run.
Okay, so Auntie, you yourself are fond of writing and have written many articles for the newspapers over the years. And you also write children books for children. So, Auntie, these days I see many children not indulging themselves in reading and writing anymore and put their focus more in watching TV and playing mobile games. And I emphasize on the importance of about reading and writing, and I talk about this in my sessions and whenever I meet anybody. So what do you think about this situation?
It's alarming. It's absolutely alarming. See what happens, TV and mobiles are instant gratification. That means
Yes.
you are satisfied and content immediately.
Very
But
true.
in the long run, it doesn't help. It spoils your vision and then you become, like a robot.
Yes.
And also
yes.
there is no participation. If you're watching the TV, you're just watching and listening.
Yes.
There is no
Learning.
Yeah, there is no learning is there. A little bit of learning is
Yes.
there, but there is no dialogue. You cannot
Yes.
talk to the TV,
Of course.
right? You
not.
can't talk to the computer. Whereas we can talk. We're having a good, interesting dialogue. We're learning from each other,
Yes.
right? That is not possible. So it's very important. Also, in a book, you get the first-hand experience of
Yes.
the person, like your book. Now you're telling about the person, who was tearing the books and,
Yes.
so you get an experience and what you were doing, how you did not like, use of paper. So what were the things you were saying about growing plants? You're learning from the experiences of others. So
Yes.
it's very important to read. So for that, I feel I have a 3-year-old grandson.
Yes.
So we have a storytelling session, every week.
Yes.
And I take him, but he doesn't listen to the story, but somewhere in his mind, he understands that soon, he'll have to sit like the other children and pay attention. He knows the story. He's running around, he's playing, he's participating, and
Yes.
it will slowly bring him in. So it's very important that we have such things. Your grandmother, you are very fortunate to have your grandmother living with you. You can learn so much from her.
Right.
Right, your dad and mom, they've traveled the world, so you can learn from their experiences.
And I can also learn from your experience, Auntie. You're also there with us, right?
Yes, of course. You should call me Nani.
I would love to.
Yeah, you should. I have a grandson your age.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, he's Sundar, and he loves books and he loves nature,
Beautiful.
birds.
I think he'd really love this garden, Empress Garden. So I've been there multiple times and I just love that. So there was also a flower show there. So then there was so many flowers. It was just so beautiful. I think you should take him to the flower show.
Yes.
So you're aware of the Empress Garden. You take him there.
Well, he doesn't live here with me,
Oh,
but I will take him.
Okay.
Empress Garden, I've gone many times. Have you seen the lionas there? Like the Tarzan, these huge climbers. You should go and see the lionas. Lionas are, woody climbers.
okay.
Yeah. And they're very thick.
Yes.
And you see in Tarzan's movie, Tarzan swinging,
yes.
you see their climbers. So it's very interesting lionas in Empress
Oh.
Garden. So you must have a look at it next time you go.
Sure. I remember my first experience. I was climbing a tree.
Uh-huh.
That was such a scary experience. I was just feeling like I'll sit there the whole day. I can't move.
Yeah, we're talking about trees. I know there was a funny experience at my farm. There was a little boy, a 3 or 4-year-old boy, and he was very angry with his mother and father.
Okay.
Something happened. So he climbed the tree. It was a mango tree.
Okay.
And then they called me. They said, my boy is missing. So I was very panicky. I drove 50 kilometers to the farm. We were searching. And it was getting dark. It was around 6:30.
Yes.
6:30. It was getting dark in the farm.
Yes.
Suddenly I say, Madam, I am here. And he was on the mango tree, sitting over there, the little boy. And I said, why are you sitting there? He says, no. He says, I'm enjoying, He says, because I'm seeing everybody panicking around. But for him, that was a haven. I mean, he was in control of the situation, sitting on top. And he said, aren't you scared? He says, why should I be scared? I can see all of you all. So
You guys
that
are
is
there.
a tree. Yeah. Tree gives you a lot of comfort, and I used to be up on the trees many times. All my childhood, I spent in trees. After coming back from school, either below the tree with a book or on the tree with a book.
Wonderful experience.
Yeah, it is.
I love reading books which has adventure, suspense. So, what do you think young minds need today?
I think adventure, fantasy. See, because you have to go into another world.
Yes.
You have to experience, and then you will, really inspire you. When you see something, happening, something fantastic, out of this world experience can only be
Yes.
got in a book. I think you're on the right track. Adventure and
Thank you,
fantasy, I would say. Yes.
I really love suspense books because that keeps that mind thinking, oh my god, what's going to happen? And create your own storyline that, oh, maybe this might happen, or maybe they might face a problem. So to make things interesting, there's always a problem and there's always a solution.
Mhm.
So then there was one book I was reading, Trials of Apollo. So in that book, I borrowed it from the library.
Uh-huh.
I was so engaged in it, that it was 419 pages. So I was just so focused in that even while I was even before sleeping, I would spend 1 hour, half an hour reading that, and then it was my mother, father who came to me and said, "It's time to sleep." So I just love the book because there was such suspense in it. So that's why I really like adventure and suspense books.
You must be loving detective books then.
Yes, I do actually.
Yeah, because even my granddaughter, she always used to tell me, Amma, tell me a story about a detective. I think there is one book where one of the, the protagonist is a detective.
Okay.
I forget the name of the thing. So she would always tell me, tell me the story of a detective where she should be also there, as
Yeah.
part of the
Yeah,
character,
it's
one of the
really
characters.
fun to imagine yourself in that story.
Yeah. I think Nancy Drew, she a detective?
I don't know a
so.
lot.
Okay, these are girlish books, I think.
No, there's nothing girlish. Everybody can read any book.
Absolutely, yes. You're right.
Thinking about this, what is your favorite genre?
My favorite is, a very traditional, village life. See, when I was young, my mother used to read the book called by author Pearl Buck. There was the story of Good Earth.
Good Earth. Okay.
Yeah, so that was one of the first books I read. It talks about village life, about the farms, about the nature.
And you
the
could
whole
connect with
Chinese.
that.
Yes, I could connect with that because then Chinese society and Indian society, there's so much in common.
Yes.
And this was about people, what should I say, down to earth people.
Yes.
Yeah, I started with that. So I really enjoyed reading that. Then, of course, I used to read Mills and Boon. When I was a teenager, it was all about romance and then exotic places. So I loved Mediterranean. So, all these I had read about before I started traveling.
Okay.
So you could, connect your books to the different places. I think I loved reading about places also.
Got it. So, Auntie, I read one of Sudhamurthy ji's book,
Uh-huh.
Man from the Egg. So, I found it very interesting, and it literally took us back to the Indian mythology, our culture, and and I found it very relatable during Diwali because it was talking. There was one story I read. It was talking about the churning of the ocean, how Lakshmi Ma arrived. So I was talking about that, and at the same time, I was fortunate to meet you and read your book, Chodo Shak, right? Chodo Shak.
Right.
I was just a little scared I would get the pronunciation wrong. So Chodo Shak, and it as well. It took us to our Indian mythology, talking about Bhut Chaturdashi from Bengal, and it also talks about a few experiences with the modernized world like that. So, just as a reminder, just telling everybody, Bhut Chaturdashi is just like Choti Diwali. So it is also known as Choti Diwali.
Yes. Naraka Chaturdashi.
So different religions have different stories about it. Like you had mentioned a goddess. Which goddess was it again?
Lakshmi?
She came down to the earth with a lot of booth.
Durga.
Yes, goddess Durga. She came down with a lot of booth to the earth, and there were also some booth around enjoying with the kids.
Yes. They're all friendly ghosts.
Yes. Mechu booth.
Yes.
Bacha booth.
Yes.
I'm not going to
Loving
tell
book.
everybody to you everything to you all.
Yeah.
So I want you to also read that book, okay?
Thank you.
So I really enjoyed that book, and I was also very lucky to read two of your books, specially gifted by you, and it literally took us to our visionary world. So, Auntie, coming to the start of this all, how did you plan writing mythology connected stories?
I'm very fond of mythology.
Yes.
You know, and as a child, I was telling you, my mother
Yes,
used to tell us,
yes.
stories about
Yes.
it. And I find that, there is so much to learn because, see, there was something about the Pushpak Viman. So this
Okay.
was something, which was there.
Yes.
People had an idea whether the Viman was there or not, but the concept was there. And it's
Yes.
so relatable today. To when you read about, the war, I mean, how terrible it is.
Yes.
We saw in Mahabharata what is the the
Yes.
results of this frenzy, and how important it is for siblings to get together, to be together.
Come in peace.
Yes, the rivalries, all this is valid even today. Even today's society, we are facing the same thing. Parents are being, neglected. So what does our mythology teach us? Take care of your parents. Right?
Now this
And
will
that's
help.
what the Indian government said
Yes.
today, that you need to take care of your parents. So all these things are very, very relatable.
Yes.
So once you read those, it's like lessons we learn for contemporary times, very modern times.
Got it. So this will help all of us, all budding authors as well, to write our culture, introduce our culture in the form of stories. So thank you so much, Auntie. So now you're truly inspiring because you always try to promote healthy food. So I would like to briefly delve into this topic. So, Auntie, you support millets.
Mm-hmm.
So, how eating millets keeps us healthy?
Millets are, packed with nutrition,
Yes.
and then they're gluten free. See, we have these modern diseases of diabetes,
Yes.
blood pressure, obesity. All of these are because we are eating so much of rice, right? Because you've
Yeah.
heard of the agricultural revolution. Okay, agricultural revolution was, we had a lot of hunger in our country, a lot of
Okay,
famine,
yes.
less food. So the scientists introduced, crops which were hybrid, which had large amount of produce. Okay, and they used a
Yes.
lot of pesticides, chemical pesticides and fertilizers, and they concentrated on few crops like rice, wheat.
Yes.
These were the main crops they thing. But so the others became neglected. Now these were very capital intensive. You needed a lot of money and a lot of water.
Yes.
Whereas millets are drought resistant, or rather water wise. Okay, and they're
Yes.
also packed with a lot of medicinal properties.
Yes.
And they were actually very cheap. Now, because so many people want to eat, the cost has gone up.
Yes.
So now the government can do something in processing. The cost is in processing the millets, because we don't have these machines. You have rice, mills which process the rice, but we don't have many mills which will process millets. So once that is
Yes.
introduced, it will be easier, because they require very less water, and they can grow in hot temperature, climate change, global warming.
Yes.
So temperatures are getting hotter and hotter. It's very difficult to grow wheat in a very
True.
hot climate, whereas millets can grow in hot. So it's a very good plant it's a climate smart plant.
Okay.
Drought resistant. It's
Uh,
good for tomorrow.
Auntie, like I said, you promote healthy food, Auntie. So there are many children like me and adults as well. They like to avoid healthy food. So could you tell us why is junk food our first preference, and how can we change our habits?
How can you change your habits? I think at home it's very easy for us to order. Yesterday
Yes.
there was a race. I went to my grandson's race. So they said healthy and unhealthy food. There was a pizza. So he
Yes.
had to select. He's a 3-year-old. He has to select between a pizza and orange. But pizza is so tempting,
Yes.
so tasty. So first he picked up the pizza. Then he realized this is not healthy, but this is what I eat at home. He put the pizza down. He picked up the orange. That.
Yes.
So these are things when you can teach in schools, right?
Yes.
And when you make pizza also, instead of making with maida,
Yes.
refined flour, you can use wheat. You can use millets as
Make
a
it
base.
healthy.
Make it healthy. Put lots of vegetables in it.
Yes.
Make it healthy. Same thing, because you want to use. We are modern now,
Yes.
and we are traveling the world. We also want to experience food from other cultures, right?
True.
So make even this junk food healthy.
Yes.
Use
But not
healthier
but
ingredients.
eating it too much is not good.
It's not good. A little bit you can't help, but the same thing you can use better ingredients and use
Yes.
it. Yeah.
Yes. Auntie, I know this is a little out of topic, but I just want to ask that what inspired you to write?
What inspired me? I think I told you I was in this place called Jeju-do
Yes.
for a bonsai
Yes, yes.
convention.
No, how I mean is that in your childhood, so because you were reading, did that inspire you as well?
I was very well read because my mother was a voracious reader,
Yes. Yes.
and my father, till the day he passed away, he would read, but he was a very slow reader. I mean, he would take his
Yeah.
time, one book for 1 month, and he was not a reader as such. But my mother was, so we had a huge library right from our childhood.
Okay.
Yeah, with lots of books and encyclopedias.
Okay.
And summer holidays, I would sit, going through with something called Popular Science. It was an encyclopedia of my
Yes.
childhood, and I would read from page to page, from the front page to the last. So that, when I started writing, all this reading which I had done over the years helped me. But what triggered was this place called Jeju-do,
Yes.
which I wanted to write. Till then, I never had the urge to write. Though I used to write research
Yes.
papers, art, things of that sort, but not
Yes.
articles or books, no.
Auntie, did you face any challenges while writing?
Yeah, because by profession, I'm a landscape designer.
Yes.
So my business was designing gardens.
More
Okay?
than writing.
Yeah, it was a hobby.
Yes.
Writing was a hobby. So what happened was, I used to just write every day, and every day it would come in the papers.
Yes.
But then what happened was, the same paper, some article which I wrote in Bombay would be published in Delhi, Madras, Bangalore, all over.
Yes.
And then I started getting calls from people, editor there, ma'am, please can you send an article tomorrow? And I am a person who writes in the morning, in the
Yes.
early morning during Brahma Muhurt.
Yes.
So there, instead of doing my work, instead of doing my drawings and my quotations
Yes.
and all that, I was busy writing. Then, I felt this was getting too much.
Yes.
The demands and the deadlines. So I said I should stop. So actually I stopped writing.
Okay.
because of all these deadlines, so that was something, very bad for me. I should not have stopped. I should have, written maybe once a month or once in a week or something, but I stopped writing.
Yes.
It was only during COVID I used to be giving webinars every day, giving lectures in different colleges, almost
Yes.
every day sitting at my home. Then my daughter Gina, she said, "What is this, mummy? All day you're behind locked doors. You better stop these webinars and start writing." So she gave me an ultimatum. So that's how I went back to writing. And I started writing books.
Auntie, whenever I face a lot of challenges, well, I don't face a lot, but I face only one challenge: writer's block. So that is a very common thing that happens. So it's when you don't get any ideas, you really want some change type. So then that's why we have writer's block. So then whenever I'm not able to think, I just put myself in a different time, and then later I come back to writing. So I would play with my Lego for a while, and then I would come back to writing.
Correct. You need a distraction.
You need a break.
You need a break. You need to do something which is completely different from writing.
Yes.
So what I used to do is go for a walk. Yeah. And I could never write in the night. So it was, you should try this, Brahma Muhurat. Getting up in the morning, you're really fresh, ideas will pour. You should try that, And this is what our sages said, get up in the morning, even your studies, you start rising early. There are no distractions.
Yes.
And that will help you. Brahma Muhurat has really helped me. Getting up in the morning and then and going out into nature.
I'll take your advice, Auntie.
Go birding. Birding, bird watching is really good.
It increases your patience.
Absolutely.
I so one of my birthday, I think, or it was Children's Day. Somebody gifted me binoculars and a compass. So I would focus my time more on the binoculars than the compass. I would think that why do we need compass? I'm always home, so there's no use for a compass. So I kept it aside, and now I lost it kind of. And same as the binoculars. So then I would always watch, and I became so impatient. There used to be marks on our windows. So I said, "Oh, yay! I found a bird." Like that. So I would sometimes play like that, and very very few times I would just spot birds. There used to be a lot of nature around our society, but there was very less birds that appeared. You'll find that more in forest.
Yeah, at Empress Garden you'll see a lot of birds.
Yes.
Even here, you will see birds in the mornings and
Yes.
different times you'll see birds
Chirping.
Yeah.
They're lovely
Yeah.
songs.
Even they look also so beautiful.
Yeah.
And as you said,
Nobody can match their beautifulness and their songs.
Yeah, absolutely. Beautiful music. Yeah, I love bird watching.
Auntie, with all your experience, could you tell us that how can we increase our focus and not get distracted? So like you said, Brahma
Muhurat. That is getting up in the morning, that is
yes.
early morning.
So that is one point. But are there any else?
Yeah. One is, I told you, see, sometimes, it's very difficult to concentrate. At that time, you need a distraction. Something totally different. So, on a Saturday or Sunday, for an hour or two, you should just get out. Go on a trail, go to Empress Garden. There must be other gardens also here,
Yes.
So once you go there, go to the forest, go to the river, water bodies.
Yes.
So, at that time, you don't think of your house, your family, everything is
You're
out.
completely distracted.
You're completely focused on only one thing,
Okay.
the birds,
Yes.
maybe the water, fish, whatever it is. So that is very important. It's, the shunyata is emptiness. They say
Yes.
that is zero is something invented by the Indians.
Yes.
Shunyata, what does it mean? Emptiness. So you need to, when you go out in such surroundings, your mind becomes empty. That is very, very important. That's a form of meditation. Or you meditate for a little while. Or just chant. Just chant, take the name of your favorite deity or whatever you want,
Yes.
And then when you repeat, you're so concentrated, focused on that word, that the rest
And
of the
making
thing
sure that
disappears.
you don't say anything else.
Yeah.
But then
Correct.
soon you just get into that formation and you don't think about anything. You
Correct.
just
You can't
blank.
because you're just focusing on that word, chanting. That's why chanting is very important.
I always thought chanting is where you're just like praying to the god after chanting done. But
Chanting
there's
is-
actually a lot of mythology, a lot of stories behind it.
yeah.
So thank you, Auntie, for making me realize that.
You're most welcome, beta. Welcome.
While reading books, what was your most favorite book?
My favorite books for many, I like Airport.
Okay.
Arthur Haley's Airport, because it took you in a fascinating world,
Yes.
of this stowaway. And of course, as I told you, Pearl Buck, because my
Yes.
mother used to read a lot of Pearl Buck books. So those were my Enid Blyton. As a child, I would
yes.
read so many Enid Blyton books.
Famous Five.
Famous Five, and all the tricks they used to do. So we
Yes.
would also try and imitate them, and we had great fun. And
I
then,
can
of
imagine.
course, yeah, Nancy Drew, all the detective movies. Then we
Yes.
had Perry Mason as children, and as we grew up, we had so many, mythology.
Charles Dickens, a lot of
Dickens.
those.
Yeah, classics we used to learn in school.
Yes.
But there's so many books, Then I moved into books about birds. I have a huge collection of
Okay.
books on plants and birds and insects,
Biodiversity.
cooking, what is Lebanese. I'm not a great cook, but I'm an innovative cook.
Yes.
So I have books on Greek, different.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is what I enjoy reading. History. I'm passionate about history.
Oh,
About
that's
geography.
nice.
Yeah. History is really, I enjoy it.
And it's also very inspiring about. So I always thought that. My teachers used to tell me that in independence, so when India didn't fight, they used non-violence. So I was just thinking, how can they fight a war with non-violence? And that's still a mystery to me.
See, Gandhiji, completely, he won against a huge empire. Those days Britishers were a small, puny little country, but they ruled the world. And Mahatma Gandhi, because of his non-violence, he could defeat and gain independence. So these are things, values we should learn
Yes.
from people, from great, autobiographies. They're great to read.
Yes.
Michelle Obama, I enjoyed. Gayatri Devi, the most beautiful woman in the world,
Yes.
So these are, when you read people's autobiographies, biographies, you learn a lot of the world.
And you get
learn
also
to
very
imbibe
inspired.
Absolutely, you imbibe their values.
Yes.
It's very important that we imbibe the values of people, renowned people. Even as a child, we would read that Jawaharlal Nehru's glimpses of world history, something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
My father had the book, and it was beautiful. He was in the jail and he was writing to his daughter, who was very young, about the history of the world.
Yes.
And so nicely, childlike. So really, these are things which have really inspired me. Yes.
My mother tells me to write precisely. So, Auntie, you've been writing for articles for many newspapers over the years.
Yeah.
So, Auntie, how did you convey your messages in such short text? Would you practice it, or would you say it?
See, you have to be very crisp.
Yes, precise.
So, when I started writing, it was not on a computer.
Okay.
It was handwritten.
Yay.
Right? Yeah. Because I used to write by hand and then, or maybe type it.
Yes.
Yeah. So, remove all repetitions. One thing you need to look at is remove all repetitions. Because, you're saying the same thing again and again. So, you need
Yes.
to take out all repetitions. You should not use the same word many times. You have to find alternate words. Suppose you're saying beautiful. You cannot another sentence use the same word beautiful. You use a word like
course.
lovely or attractive,
The synonyms.
Yeah. So you have to change. And another thing is you need to use one word. They're saying one word for many. You must be learning in
Yes.
grammar. Instead of saying, there were lots of birds, you can say a flock.
Yes.
One word for many. So that will make your writing more precise and more crisp.
Yeah.
So, and more this thing enjoyable by the reader.
Yes.
So this is how you do it. You cut short by avoiding repetitions.
Yes. Well, Auntie, I had such an amazing conversation, and thanks to you, Auntie, we had so much enriching conversations full of wisdom. Auntie, I'm sure whoever aspires to be a writer or a landscape designer is truly inspired.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
It
Auntie.
comes with age.
Knowledge comes with age.
Yeah. Knowledge comes with reading, a lot of reading
Yes.
and listening to people. Learning from the experience, because we can't do everything ourselves.
Yes.
Right? There is no time in the world.
It kind of relates with one quote I heard: "Old is gold." Auntie, as we had such enriching conversations, we have soaked in a lot of serious knowledge. So I think we should have a little fun. So it's time to sprinkle that fun in.
Okay.
So get ready for our much loved fun segment.
Okay.
So Auntie, I have prepared a lot of fun for you.
Uh-huh.
And are you ready for some?
Yes, of course.
Well, let's give a high five and let's say yay!
Yay!
Okay, so I've got a quick fire round lined up for you,
Mm-hmm.
and it is there are rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Just answer as fast as you can. That's all I'm saying.
Baba, it's frightening. Tell me.
Favorite travel destination?
Mediterranean.
Mediterranean. Oh yeah. Favorite historical figure?
Mahatma Gandhi.
Respect. Favorite movie genre?
Favorite movie?
Genre.
When you say genre, I can't recollect what you mean.
Like suspense, adventure, like that.
Family.
Nice. Favorite festival?
Diwali.
Diwali. The festival of lights and colors.
Absolutely. And food, snacks.
Yes,
Color,
tasty,
yes.
tasty. Favorite childhood game?
Hopscotch.
I remember. So in our neighborhood, there's one auntie who lives. So we call her Amma.
Mm-hmm.
So then she has a lot of shells and very small shells
Yes.
and big ones. So then in the big ones, so she rolls it like that, and then the other person has to guess like lucky 7, 5.
Uh-huh.
If somebody says, and then if 5 of them are facing up, that means you get a point like that.
Uh-huh.
And then there were also some seeds, like you had to like throw them up and put them on the hand, and
Yes.
then Amma would choose one, and then you had to make sure that one didn't fall.
Yes. So we used to also play,
Yeah.
Sizzlephenia bondak karke, there the seeds are there, grayish colored.
Yes.
So we put it down and then pick it up again. A lot of things in your hand.
Yes,
And
it was so
it was
fun.
very fun.
I was not even ready to leave it, and there was another game, odd and even. So then we had to. So then the auntie Amma, she gave us a lot of seeds.
Mm-hmm.
So then we had to take a bunch of seeds, and the other person had to say odd or even.
Mm-hmm.
So then if one person said odd, so I had to make groups of 4, and if there was like 3 or 1, that means that that I have to give that amount to them. And if it's odd and they said even, then they have to give that same amount to me. So I was quite a beginner, but I enjoyed those games to the fullest.
So India, we had lots of games here.
Yes.
Ancient world across, lots and lots of games, and with seeds.
Yes. Favorite type of music?
I like instrumental sitar.
Oh, nice. Favorite way to relax?
Favorite way to relax, a book.
Very true, auntie. Well, I also love books. It helps me to also relax. Another high five. Favorite quote?
Favorite
Quote.
quote. All's well that ends well.
All
All is well that ends well.
Yes, I heard that one. Favorite hobby?
Favorite gardening.
Favorite childhood memory?
Fun. I think, climbing trees. Yeah.
So the first time you did it, was it quite difficult?
Well, I grew up climbing trees, so I
So-
can't remember what is my first time.
It must have been when you were very small.
Very small, yes.
It was great knowing this side of you, Auntie. It was so fun. Now, time to make this more fun. The choose one game.
Mhm.
So this one is really good. I can assure you. So you have to pick your favorite. I'll give you two options, and you have to pick your favorite.
Mhm.
So are you ready for some tough decisions?
Okay.
Let's go. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Morning person or night owl?
Morning.
Morning. Same as me.
Good.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Woof woof. City life or countryside?
I think both. I like both.
Mumbai or Pune?
Mumbai.
Fiction or non-fiction books?
Fiction.
Sweet or savory snacks?
Savory.
Phone call or text messages?
Both, I guess. But phone call.
I prefer phone call. It's so time taking when you type everything. In 1 minute you can say a whole speech when you're in a phone call. Sunset or
Phone call
sunrise?
also connects you better.
Yes.
And text can be, I had some not so good experiences
Yeah.
because what we write, the other person may, understand in a different manner.
Yes,
the way
yes.
he's thinking, she's thinking. Yeah.
Sunset or sunrise?
Sunset.
That beautiful look, I know.
Yes.
Let's turn math into fun. 1 plus 1 equals to fun. Have you even thought about that? So I was introduced that by my parents.
Uh-huh.
And 1 plus 1 equals to fun. It made it rhyme. So I also really liked it and put it in here. So here's the game.
Mhm.
I'll give you one word and you hit me back with the first word that pops into your mind.
Okay.
Are you ready for some wordplay, Auntie?
Why not?
Let's go.
Chalo.
Celebration.
Eating.
Language.
Telugu.
Sustainability.
Sustainability is, eating all the parts, different parts.
Yes. Knowledge.
Knowledge, wisdom,
Vast. Creativity.
writing,
Words.
words. Words. Beautiful.
Beautiful.
Beautiful, lovely.
Lovely.
Lovely. Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Bold.
Bold.
Beautiful.
back to that same word.
Yeah, the bold and the beautiful, This used to be a serial with my mother-in-law who's, 80 and she would watch that every day. Anyway, that's not for you.
Identity.
Identity, personality,
Book.
reading,
Reading.
writing,
Writing.
research,
Person.
practical.
Child.
Child is innocent.
Me.
Love you.
Thank you. Wow, Auntie, this is really fun and you were swift.
But you had me floored with all these new things.
Auntie, before we sign off, I have one last question for you. So, Auntie, your active involvement in giving lectures, building communities, supporting NGOs is truly inspiring. Both young and senior aspire to contribute, but just don't know where to start. So, what would you like to say to the ones eager to make a difference?
Start in your own community.
Okay.
People working for you,
Okay.
right? They must be having kids
Yes.
who need, because I remember there used to be a girl, who in our house who came to look after my granddaughter when she came.
Yes.
And she only studied till the 2nd standard.
Okay.
But she would speak fluent English. Because
Okay.
she worked in some place, where
Yes.
So I put her through a school. There are many places where you don't have to have a regular education.
Yes.
And those teachers were fantastic, from Father Agnells in Navi Mumbai. And
Yes.
then she passed her 10th. Girl who studied 2nd standard. My mother taught her to read and write. She passed her 10th, all due to the efforts of the teachers there. And then now she did computers and she's a team leader today.
Oh.
So start from your home. That's the best thing to do. You can't go out as a young child. Start, something close to you.
Very true, Auntie. That those words are very inspiring, and I'm sure you all would take that advice. So then, when I say signing off, we do this.
Okay.
So let's go. Pradhan Jain and Vijaya Auntie signing off.